One Rhyme at a Time, Unpacking the Meaning and the Muse with the Poetic Diva is podcast programming that reminds us of the connection between poetry and mental and emotional wellness. So whether you're a poetry enthusiast or simply someone seeking inspiration and understanding, join us as we unravel the threads of creativity and introspection, one rhyme at a time. Welcome to the conversation. So welcome to One Rhyme at a Time, Unpacking the Meaning and the Muse podcast, where poetry meets mental wellness, right here in the heart of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I am the Poetic Diva, and I am thrilled to embark on this poetic healing journey with you. As in every episode, we will be visited by a poet and a mental health professional. And in this episode, we are talking about humor and wellness. We are joined today by writer Kate Landers. Kate Landers won her first award for humorous writing in middle school. She uses humor to draw attention to the absurd, yet relatable aspects of society and humanity as a way to connect readers with the writing and thus with one another. She hopes readers walk away from her stories with a new perspective or a little self-realization. So let's listen in as she shares her poem, Why You Should Always Invite Writers to Your Party, on One Rhyme at a Time.
Thank you, Marcia. Why you should always invite writers to your party. I got your Evite today. Thanks, I guess. I know you were trying to be nice, but I have to confess that I kind of wish you would realize that I'm awkward as hell and hate to socialize. Yet I know that you love me and you want me to go, and that's why I can't bring myself to just click no. So here I've been sitting at my desk all day, mentally rehearsing the things I might say to all of your friends that I've never met, while chain smoking a whole pack of cigarettes. You're taking me out of my comfort zone, which only extends to the four walls of my home. See, the thing about writing is I get to delete stupid things that I say and dumb jokes that I tweet, but social faux pas live on forever. I only get one chance to be clever. So instead of writing my book's epilogue, I typed 40 drafts of droll dialogue, preparing for possible scenarios like, what if there's no one else that I know? If I park by the food while I look like a hog, how long is too long to pet your dog? Will you mind if I just follow you around? Is it cool to use your room for my mental breakdown? Maybe I'll just sit and play on my phone. By 8 o'clock, I could be back at home, sipping some wine and trying to forget the faces of people that I never met. No. Damn it, I told myself that this was the year. You're going to be more social, you hear? Get out of your house, get out of your head. Stop making up people, meet real ones instead. Because there's got to be people out there like me. There's got to be. They're friends with my friend, and I'm friends with he, and A is to B as B is to C. So yes, I'll go to that party, and they're going to see just how fun and how witty and how cool I can be. And I'm not going to lurk by the punch bowl this time, and I'll really try hard to not speak in rhyme. Well, it's time to get dressed and put on a smile, take a deep breath, and swallow that bile. Okay, it doesn't look like there's anyone here that I know, but 3 glasses of wine later, and here I go. Hi, I'm a writer, and I really like words, and before you inevitably call me a nerd, let's dance the plot twist and drink lemonade. Let's see who can name the most cliches. Let's have heated discussions about semicolons. Does anyone want to hear my new poem? Who's your favorite author, living or dead? I'm so excited to have conversations that aren't in my head. Oh, hey, buddy. Yes, I made it, but now I must go. I need to leave before my tics start to show. It was fun pretending to be extroverted. I laughed, I joked, I danced, I flirted. But I think my social quota has been met now. This is all the interaction my anxiety will allow. Next time, I won't make so many puns or correct your friends' mispronunciations. So thank you for inviting me to your soiree. My therapist will be glad to hear I got fresh air today. It's good for writers to get out now and then, meet new people, and try to make friends. Just give us a chance to show we're friendly and smarty. And that's why you should always invite writers to your party. Thank you.
So that was like so much fun. Like that was so much fun to listen to and to go on that ride with you. So is that like the normal way that you write? Is your writing always kind of like quirky and fun? Is that your way?
Pretty much, yes. Unless someone gives me a prompt that's more serious. But for me, that's how I deal with my serious issues is I just want to make light of them. I don't really want to go down with how I'm feeling. I want those feelings to come up and be light.
I get that. What a beautiful perspective to have. Because even when hardships come, and hardships are always going to come, it's just a part of the life that we live. Being able to look at things from a viewpoint that's a little bit whimsical, a little bit lighter, and to not let those things pull you down. I know that that is a a benefit to your mental health and to your emotional wellness and all of those things to look at things in that way. So what actually inspired you to write this particular poem?
So this poem was specifically written for a writing get together with another writing group that I'm a part of. It was, I think, maybe our annual party, and I just had this anxiety over being with a bunch of people that I only knew a couple of them, and it's we always do an open mic, so I knew I was going to be sharing something, and I mean, really, it just kind of wrote itself.
I get it because there are parts of it, especially when you're doing the questions. As far as let me see if I can find it. But there was uh, if I park by the food, will I look like a hog? How long is too long to pet your dog? It sounds like a stream of consciousness as you're just thinking through.
Yeah.
And with me being an introvert, like I like totally like latched on to like everything that you share. You are an amazing storyteller.
Thank
So
you.
like there is a very clear beginning, middle, and end to your poem. Is that intentional?
Yeah, I really wanted to walk people through the process of how it feels to get an invitation to a party where you know you're only going to know one person there. And yeah, for some extroverts, like, oh, new friends just around the corner. But for introverts, you're immediately thinking, what am I going to do? And yes, then you spend all this time pre-planning, like, what am I going to talk about? What should I wear? What do I say? What do I... And then you get there, and I have 100% parked myself by the food, eaten way more than I even wanted to because I'm like, I don't know what else to do with my hands. And then if there's not an animal there for me to give attention to, it just adds to the anxieties. I'm like, please have a dog or a cat that I can just focus on. So yes, I didn't like make up any of this. This is all straight from the heart. Yeah.
You are definitely not alone. There is a population of people who feel
Yeah.
exactly like this and go through that same level of anxiety, knowing that they're going to be, in a social group, especially with people that they do not know. Um, what are your thoughts on taking a topic that's a serious one? Because this is really, social anxiety. It's a serious topic. What are your thoughts on taking serious topics like this one and giving them a lighthearted, kind of a lighthearted perspective?
Um, dealing with mental health issues such as anxiety is going to be different for everyone. Some people really need to get into the roots and the grit of it and clean out that mug from the bottom. I have been there, I have dealt with that, and it did not work for me. And I don't know that this is good advice, but what worked for me was to like just throw it away and be like, I'm just going to ignore that. And I'm just going to put this layer of superficiality. Is that a word? Whatever.
It is now.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to take these legit, serious feelings and I'm just not going to deal with them in a proper, mature way. And until I had enough distance between me and that event that I was like, okay, you know what? It no longer matters that much. That is what worked for me. And so I just continue to try to make the sad things in life humorous. That is, I think, is perfect for me.
Yeah. It's kind of like a coping mechanism.
Very much.
Yeah, as far as getting through things. And we don't want to go through life, like ignoring, necessarily like the big problems, the big issues, because sometimes we do have to adult and do the
respectfully disagree. I'm just going to keep ignoring my problems.
No, I do not.
When you say we,
I do.
Human, healthy, emotionally mature people, but I don't have to be there.
I don't have to do it.
No.
But that's really, really valid. It's really important for us to find the thing that works for us. And what works for one person as a great coping mechanism isn't necessarily the thing for every single person. But I absolutely love this. There's a safety that comes with writing that you kind of leaned into that in your poem, as compared to like those face-to-face personal interactions. So share a little bit about like the anxiousness that you feel when you know that you're going to have a conversation, as compared to the comfort of your paper and your pen.
Well, I definitely have woken up in the middle of the night so many times just so I can relive one thing that I said, or how I, was acting in a group of people that maybe I don't feel 100% comfortable with. And then I just get to lay there and think about it and worry about it. And I mean, I've even come home from a party and taken some sleeping pills because I'm like, I know that I'm going to be waking up in the middle of the night rehashing all these conversations, and I don't want to do that. So, but when you write something, just like I said, when you write something, you can give it some time. You don't have to put it out there right away for people. And that being able to delete stuff has saved me so many times, but you just can't delete what you say out loud. And I think that the best thing you can do is just try to be very forgiving of other people, when they misspeak or something, because like the more that we all agree that we are just going to forgive each other for being dum-dums, then they will forgive you too.
I totally get that. There's several turns that happen in the poem. It's like it starts off with you addressing the person who sent the invite. Like, when are you going to figure this out? Then you go into talking yourself into going to the party. Then you got to give us a play-by-play of you at the party. And I really, really appreciate the fact that you actually wrap the whole thing up in a nice, neat package and give us a moral to the story. So will you share a little bit with us about like your writing process in creating this piece and that really, really nice storyline that you have?
I think that's really nice of you to ask, because I didn't even know I did all that until you just said it. Like, oh, I did do that. Yes, on purpose and with intention. That's what I did.
That was the plan from the very beginning.
I know how to make something come full circle and make sense. I really just got started, and as we were sitting here, I was remembering that I actually started this. My friend sent me an invite to her Halloween party, and she's one of my best friends here, but I don't know any of her other friends. So I just started like, what would I say if I could just say how I really thanks, I guess, and then it just kind of flowed from there. And I was thinking, okay, I need to get this person out of their house because they can't just sit here in their head. That doesn't make for a good poem. So they're going to have to suck it up and be like, okay, I love you. I know you want me to come. All right, I'm coming. And then it's taken me 4 decades to learn how to be better in social situations. But now I feel like I do a lot better when I remember that any person who is friends with the weirdos that I am friends with is also going to be a weirdo. So I just have to remember we're friends with the same person for a reason. So I am actually now excited to meet the friends of my friends because I'm like, we're like friends-in-law, we're connected already. So it makes the anxiety go down now, but it has taken a long time to get there. But I wanted this person in the poem to figure it out so that they could go to the party and meet these other people that they're excited to meet, and they're still nervous, but they're putting themselves out there, and it works out okay. They do have some good conversations at this party, and they're proud of themselves, but they recognize, okay, this is all I can handle. Like, I've done really good. Good job. Okay, bye.
Okay, right. Now I gotta go.
Now I gotta go. I gotta go, and I gotta go like right now.
Before the tics start showing.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this really speaks to, I believe, a lot of people. So have you seen a change in your view of like social interactions and things like that since the pandemic? Has the pandemic impacted how you feel about social interaction at all?
That's an interesting question. I would say that it's made it easier to socially interact with people because all of us little introverts were like, yes, now we'll all sit here and not talk to anybody. This is great. But then after we all got to come out and get together again, um, people were just more willing to take what they could get, maybe. Like, I feel like maybe everybody was so excited to talk to somebody, anybody else. We'll hang out. Let's do anything. That people who maybe were like, "Oh, I have so many friends. I don't know if I can like fit you into my life." And then you're like, "Okay, that's fine." But now, like, yes, let's all get together. You. Let's all. So in my opinion, I feel like it made it easier for somebody like me to get out there. I was like, yeah, you want to talk to me. You didn't have time for me before, but now we've been cooped up for 2 years and you're desperate to talk, aren't you? Yeah. That's my opinion.
I like that. I like that a great deal. So are there any things about this particular poem that you really, really appreciate, like your favorite part of this writing?
Is there a favorite part? I guess I kind of like the beginning where they are struggling. You can see them progress from, I really don't want to do this, I really want to do this, but then they're figuring out, I do like people. I just get a little nervous about it, and then they figure out, if I go and I don't put myself out there, then at 8 o'clock, I'm just going to be back in this exact same place that I am now. And I won't have made any new friends or had any interesting conversations. And I don't want that. And so sometimes it can be a real struggle to get what you want when what you want just seems so far away or so hard to get. And that's what I love about getting older is I now have the practice that I needed. I've had the experience that I know now that I can go to a party where I only know one other person and I know how to meet the rest of them now. And I wish that, 20-year-old Kate knew how to do that, because 20-year-old Kate spent a lot of time just not, just being in that corner, eating too much queso and petting the dog until it was bald on top, and so it's really nice to be able to see in myself enough that I can put it on paper. Like, I still remember what it felt like to be in that place, But now I also know what it feels like to actually go to that party and put myself out there and meet new people and fight against my anxiety, because it's still there, but I know how to fight it now. So yeah, that's my favorite part, is watching this person fight through it.
Yeah. Who was this poem written for?
Me and everyone else who's an introvert, because this isn't exactly me, but it's like 90% me. And there's a lot of introverts, there's a lot of writers who I feel like could really identify with this.
So as people read your poetry, what's something that you want them to leave with?
That you can have humor that would help you get through something that's difficult. If you haven't tried it yet, maybe give it a shot. And it can be difficult to set aside those sad emotional feelings and try to find what is humorous about this thing that I'm going through, or this way that I'm feeling. And it can be very, very difficult, but it could be a challenge that will reap huge rewards. And I hope that when people read a funny poem about something serious like social anxiety, that they give it a shot and realize, okay, maybe if I try to make light of it, it'll feel better.
So Kate, why do you write?
I write almost always because I have a deadline. somebody made me. For someone who loves writing but is incredibly lazy, it does help to have a prompt, a deadline, somebody pushing you and saying, "Hey, are you gonna contribute this year? Are you gonna enter this contest? You gonna, so that why I like to write might be the answer that maybe we're going for. And I feel
so. Let me ask that question.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, those are two different questions. Why I write.
I totally get it. So, Kate, why do you like to write?
And I think that goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, is I don't always trust the words that come out of my mouth. I feel, because I, have a lot of nervous feelings about speaking extemporaneously, if I write, then I really get to analyze the words that I'm trying to communicate with other people, and I can feel confident about it. And speaking, it can just be so nerve wracking. But if I like talking about my feelings, I don't trust what I'm going to say. But if you let me write about it, I can get it all out, everything I want to say, and I can get it out better.
I totally
Gooder.
Gooder. You can get it out gooder.
That's why I need to write. Get it out gooder.
Look, you are such a joy. You are such a joy to sit and to talk to. And I absolutely love your gift and your art and the way that you express yourself in your writing and also in your speaking.
Thanks, Marcia.
Amazing. You're amazing. So, how can people get in touch with you?
I do have a website, katelanders.com, which I update a couple times a year. But if you wanted to email me, I am just kate@katelanders.com. That's probably the best. I do check my emails more than I update my blog. So, yeah.
Kate, thank you so very much for your time. Thank you for being here with us and for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Mm-hmm. So thanks to Kate for sharing her poem, Why You Should Always Invite Writers to Your Party, and for giving us a deeper understanding behind the meaning and the muse of her poetry. She was able to address a heavy topic, the heavy topic of social anxiety, in a lighthearted kind of humorous way. And Kate expressed that she strives to keep a positive outlook on life and that it helps her cope. So what happens to our bodies when we laugh in the face of challenges? How does an upbeat, humorous disposition impact us? mentally, physically, emotionally. Well, we're going to talk about it with our mental health professional, Jamelia Knox. But before we do, it is important that I remind you that this podcast is not a substitution for therapy. It is a conversation, and it is intended to remove the stigma of having conversations like this and to provide you with some general information. Always seek the advice of a qualified medical professional with any questions that you have regarding your mental or physical health. Now, with that being said, let's get a better understanding of humor and mental wellness with our guest, Jamelia Knox. Jamelia Knox is a master-level marriage and family therapist. She received a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from Austin Peay State University in 2015, and in 2018, she graduated from Lee University with a Master of Science in Marriage and Family Therapy. Jamelia has over 7 years of experience in the mental health field, including 5 years of conducting therapy with individuals, families, and couples. She currently works full-time as a counselor at an inpatient psychiatric facility while also carrying a small caseload in the evenings with a group private practice. She joined the mental health field with goals of helping people to have a healthier and a more satisfying life as an individual and within their relationships. While she has found her passion in mental health, she also loves traveling, trying new experiences, and spending time with her family and friends. Join me in welcoming our guest, Ms. Jamelia Knox. So Kate just shared a poem with us about an unexpected outlook when it comes to like a stressful, socially anxious situation. And not only did it make her feel better through the writing of the poetry and what she was facing, but like several of us even found the humor in the poem, even though the topic was like a really heavy one. Like social anxiety isn't a funny topic, but somehow through her writing, through her being creative, she was able to make it humorous and make it light and still make it poignant. So how does keeping a positive outlook assist us when we're dealing with a challenging topic?
Yeah, so having that positivity in our mindset can really help us to have motivation to get through things, and even just feel more capable of getting through like tougher situations and high levels of stress.
When faced with something that's challenging, how can we keep a positive outlook?
Yeah. In all honesty, it's extremely difficult because, I mean, when life gets difficult, all the stressors, I mean, we're humans, so we'll feel those things, and our brain will just kind of naturally go in that direction of this is awful, and sometimes it even goes into like a self-attack type of mode, like I don't have what it takes, or I can't do this. This is too much for me. But just trying to battle through that, like, I mean, there's so many ways we can, like utilizing our support, affirmations. I'm a big believer in affirmations, and just trying to affirm yourself that like things can get better. I tell my patients a lot, I'm just like, as long as we're still living, there's always opportunity for things to get better. There's always opportunity.
That is true. Now give us a definition. What is an affirmation?
Yeah. So affirmation is just like saying something and believing it. So we can affirm ourselves, and sometimes we affirm ourselves in a negative way and we don't even realize it. So we're saying these negative things about ourselves, or we're saying these negative things about life.
That's that self-talk. That's that voice in our heads. And
so we're like almost like affirming this insecurity, but then we can have a positive way to look at it. We can, ideally, you would pretty much say like the opposite of what the self-attack is, in ways to like battle against that and to be more positive and believe in yourself.
So you said that an affirmation is when you make a statement and you believe it. But can you have an affirmation that you don't believe?
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes we have to fake it till we make it. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so like, and maybe that wasn't the right phrasing to use, but like the goal is to believe it, but there are times in life where it's almost, it may feel like impossible to believe some of those positive things. And sometimes it can even feel difficult to hear those positive things from other people. But the goal is to like keep trying and keep saying it over and over, like that self-fulfilling prophecy. Like we kind of become what we believe and we kind of become what is said to us. And so when we keep that cycle going of like speaking this positivity and trying to push through those things, it reflects in our mood, it reflects in our behavior, and it's just a very impactful thing.
That's really powerful. Just the power of positive self-talk.
Yeah.
Even when the world is crashing down around you. So what are some of the physical things or maybe even chemical things that happen when we laugh or when we just think positively?
Yeah. So we have these things in our brain. The chemical releases of like endorphins and dopamine. So those things are going, like the endorphins kind of help push against the stress, work against the stress, as well as like pain. And those dopamines is going to be like more, what do they refer to them as? Like the happy chemicals, like the things that kind of bring us joy. And like even simple things like smiling and laughing, those chemicals are being released. And so it's sending to our bodies like, okay, this person's happy. And like the whole fake it till you make it, even when we're faking a smile, like the muscles in our face is still moving. So our brain is like, oh, it's a smile, she's happy. Or
wow.
And it's maybe not quite as strong because we're not using quite as many muscles when it's not a genuine smile, but it still sends that message to our brain that like, oh, we're smiling.
Yeah. So our brain will still release some of those endorphins and some of those feel goods, even if we're having to fake it till we make it.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing you say that keeping a sunny disposition or trying to helps reduce stress, can kind of like boost our optimism, that type of thing. And when I think about it, the people who I really, really enjoy the most being around are the people that can smile or at least look at things in a more constructive and positive and optimistic way. I also think about the people who never take things seriously. Like at some point, you can't just keep laughing about this problem. At some point, you need to address it. So unwrap a little bit about, when it gets to a point to where, being too optimistic, too lighthearted can kind of work against you.
Yeah. So we don't want like that. I don't know if this is actually a phrase or just how I view it, like that toxic positivity where we're ignoring that there are tough things going on, or we're ignoring that, things aren't ideal, or I'm angry, but we're like ignoring that and just like, I have to be happy. I have to be positive. It's not realistic. We have these emotions for a reason. Life is life. And so it's just not going to be happy all the time. And so we do have to be honest with ourselves, but having like that optimism that like things can get better. This sucks right now. I'm quite unhappy. I wish I could change it immediately. Like we can have that honesty, but still have that optimism that it doesn't have to stay this way for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But it's finding that balance too.
So what are some things that a person can intentionally do to move themselves closer to being more positive, even when things aren't going their way?
Yeah. So just honestly grounding yourself and just getting back to like the basics of just gratitude, being grateful, recognizing the positive things that are happening in a day. So it's so easy to focus on the many things that go wrong. I'm late to work. I spilled my coffee. I got a bad report. Like it's so easy to just focus on all those things. And we ignore like just a very beautiful moments that happen.
I got a job.
Yeah.
I may have been late, but I have a job.
Yeah.
Right.
I got to share a laugh with my favorite coworker, or, I saw my favorite animal. I don't know, but just finding even like the smallest things, and just trying to even reflect on how can I what caused that to happen? Is there anything I can do to, bring about these positive things again, or to continue finding these moments of like gratitude in my day?
Yeah.
Uh, Utilizing our support. I'm a big believer in having support. Having somebody in your corner, especially when we can't do it ourselves, is just to help remind you, like, hey, you can get through this. You're strong enough. And just having that in your ear goes a long way.
It really does. It really does.
Yeah, I think they say for every one negative thing, we need to offset it with 3 positive things. And so when we do that, so like if we're having like a negative self-talk and we're saying, I can't do this, this is too hard. Having those 3 positive things, like I've done hard things before, I'm strong enough to keep doing hard things, I'm capable. Having that to just offset that so we don't get too far into that negative piece. And that's just honestly how powerful negativity is that it only takes one comment
and it will pull us all the way down. We can have 1,000 things go well and have one thing, and that's the thing that we're replaying in our minds over and over again.
Yeah. And that goes along into like the cognitive distortions. And so which is in the umbrella of cognitive behavioral therapy, but we have these moments where we kind of, and I forget the name for all of them, but like maybe we overgeneralize, or we like focus on the one negative thing and just completely erase or ignore all the other things that happen. Like somebody hurt my feelings one time, but they've done a million and one great things for me. And I'm just like, you're just an awful person.
Right.
We just have that unforgiveness sometimes. But yeah, so yeah, just kind of how powerful that negative thought is. But those distortions can happen, and it's more likely to happen where we're in that negative mind frame.
And I think that's a wonderful thing to at least be aware of what's happening, because many times we'll fall into that, where we'll just fall into like this downward spiral of negative thoughts. But being aware of what's happening when it's happening, and having the tools to kind of help pull ourselves out of that. Yeah. It's like, okay, so I didn't do that as well as I desired, but oh my gosh, at least I had an opportunity to do that. And I've learned this from this particular experience. And then the next time I'm going to do this better, and I'm going to do this better, and be able to pull yourself out of that. Are there any other things that we can intentionally do to help us?
Absolutely. And like with that, like that, building that insight is so helpful. Another thing support can help us with. I remember just like having, I don't know, it's like something silly. I would drop something. I was like, I'm such a dummy. And it's, to me, I'm just like, it's just like a little joke. Like it doesn't mean anything. And I remember friends like, don't say that about yourself. Like, and those things are impactful, but to me, I just, another day. But just trying to focus on even like those small things that we do on a regular, and just bringing it to our attention, or having people in our lives that helps us to bring it to our attention so we can work on changing our self-talk.
Yeah. That's so powerful. And there's a beauty in having a safe circle of people who have your back.
Absolutely.
And who can catch you when you find yourself in like a negative downward spiral.
Yes.
And be able to make you aware of it and help pull you out of it.
Absolutely. And just to help like that gratitude piece, like help remind you and help like build you up in that confidence. Like, girl, you've done this before. Like you're strong enough. Like this ain't nothing for you. Just having that person in your corner, it really does help.
When it comes to our children, our young people, what are some ways that we can help develop the skill of positivity and authenticity in our young people?
Yeah. I remember seeing like those little videos of like people, parents with their child, like doing the affirmations, and you see a little girl and she's like, I'm beautiful. I'm Black and proud to be Black. I have beautiful hair. And just like some of those things that maybe we take for granted, or some of those things where the world tells us isn't beautiful. It's just having that core. And then if you're learning that as a child, like you're saying, I think you may not believe it as a kid, but you're saying that so often that it does become true. And when it becomes true to us, we act differently. Like, it shows in our attitude, it shows in our behaviors. Like, you can tell when somebody like believes these things versus when they don't. And that practice and repetition really helps to get to that place of believing.
We need to mind our words as far as the words that we speak over and around our children. They are sponges and they pick up. So if we're saying things like, when we're upset with our children, like, man, you just like your daddy, you acting just like, those types of things really make an impact, like a lasting impact
For sure.
on our young people. So I think it's really, really important for us to be mindful of what are we speaking around our children to them. And then just even in their presence, because even when grown folk are talking, if there's a young person in the room, we need to be aware that they're taking that in. So if you're speaking negatively about somebody else in the presence of your child, they're taking all of that in.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even like, it's not always just in the things that are said. It's in how we handle ourselves. Like, if a child maybe sees that you're not building yourself up, or you're not being kind to yourself, or loving yourself, maybe like even just like the things like exercising, eating healthy, like those are things that like kids are watching and they're just like, okay. And it may not register to them like, okay, mom's not doing this, so I don't need to do that. But those habits become more normal, and then that starts to become more like, it's just normal. Like, oh, this is, what we're supposed to do.
This is life. This is what we're supposed to do.
This is how we handle difficult situations. This is maybe how we talk about difficult situations or things we don't like, and how maybe we process our emotions or we don't. And so it's just a lot of learned behaviors during childhood.
Yeah, and that even makes me think about the way that we cope, because problems are going to come. That's like part of life.
Yeah.
Like, everybody is dealing with something.
For sure.
But the way that we cope with those things, so it's like when problems come, are you going to some negative vice? Or, when problems come, I sing. When problems come, I go for a walk. When problems. So I think also like possibly like finding positive ways. So what are some positive ways that we can like counteract when a problem comes our way, when we've had a difficult day, instead of going home and getting a drink or something? What are some things that we can do?
Journaling is a great thing to do.
Journaling is a great thing to do.
It is. And so, writing out, processing your day. And sometimes, like, when we are in a negative headspace where there's depression, anxiety, whatever that is causing us to be in that negative headspace, it is hard to flip the switch and be positive. One thing you can try is, like, if my best friend was saying this to me, what would they say to me? And most likely, when we think of our best friends, we're not thinking of somebody that's going to talk down to us. And so maybe we try to mimic like their voice as opposed to our own voice when it's difficult, and just trying to maybe writing it out. Because if speaking is just too hard, maybe just trying to write it out and just read it.
Yeah. And that also makes me think of the gratitude journals. So explain what a gratitude, what that is.
Yeah. Just being grateful, just acknowledging like the little things, the positive things that happens. It's great if you can do it every day. Sometimes that's not realistic. Like, at the end of the day, just reflect like, okay, what good things happened today? Even if it's just one good thing, 3 good things, whatever, just trying to reflect. If that's not doable, that's okay. Maybe try to do it like once a week or a couple times in your week, and just try to reflect on at least one good thing that happened. And even go as far as like to share it with somebody, like to say like, hey, this was a crappy day, but I do acknowledge that, somebody brought me a coffee today, and that just really made me feel special and important. Everything else happened. It's not a great day, but there's still something to smile about. There's still something to be grateful for.
Yeah, and shining the light on the positive, intentionally shining the light on the positive things instead of doing what kind of naturally, like our knee-jerk reaction is to give the platform and the spotlight to the negative.
It's so easy to like go on this rant and to just say, and then this happened, and like just vent it all out.
Right.
And sometimes that's what we need to do. We do need to like we don't need to hold it in, but we also, when we get through with that, like let's reflect, okay, I'm grateful I had a friend to listen to me and somebody to just validate, like, okay, you weren't going out of the way with that, or that makes sense. I would react the same way. Like those little things they're not little, they're very significant things.
Right. And they go a long way. They can go a long way. Okay. So we know the importance of having a village and having supportive friends, supporting family and things like that. But what if you're going through a challenging time and you don't have that type of support?
Yeah.
What are some options for people?
And that's a very realistic thing. Sometimes it's difficult sometimes just to even reach out to the support we have. But then there's definitely times where we don't have anybody in our corner, and it's challenging, but really pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. I mean, there's community things we can get involved in that can help build that support. If you have hobbies, you have interests, like trying to find other people with like-minded interests, beliefs. Like if you are a spiritual person, religious person, trying to get connected and find people with like-minded beliefs, and then just trying to build that relationship from there. There's like, social media is a beautiful and a tough thing, but
that is true.
There's definitely a lot of support groups like on Facebook and stuff that you can join. Like, there's, stuff for like single moms. There's stuff for, for college students. Like there's just a lot of ways to kind of get some levels of support, especially with technology, at our hand. Of course, ideally we would want physical, and sometimes people have that with their family, sometimes people don't. And sometimes people have friendships and sometimes they don't, but just trying to, with whatever resources you have, just trying to grow that into where it can be stronger, more of a village type of environment. With cognitive behavioral therapy, so that is really involving like our thoughts, and with like our beliefs and our behaviors. And so a lot, we think it and then we believe it and then it kind of reflects in our behavior. And sometimes we do things, so we can do like surface level type of changes, where I can do something to convenience somebody else, but it's like, if I don't truly believe it, or I don't truly think this is true, or have a root belief in it, I'm just going to revert back to it. And so like, even with our self-talk, like I can say this one thing, and if I don't practice and I don't keep trying to make this thing be true in my life or something I want to believe, when tough times come, I go back to where I was. And it makes me think about like how in a couple, you have like the female and the male, and let's say the female is like, I really want flowers. And that's just something that helps her to feel thought of, to feel connection, to feel love. And he's kind of on the other end, like, flowers are a waste of money. So not something he believes, but maybe he does that to show gratitude towards her. But so that's like the surface level type of change, but he goes back to not buying flowers because that's not anything that's of value or significance. But when he figures out the importance, like, okay, this is a way I can connect with another person. This is something that is meaningful and more than just like maybe the monetary piece, it starts to reflect in like the behaviors and become a new pattern of behaviors. And so like when we have the positive thinking, we can start to have these like new patterns that starts to reflect in how we go about the world and how we go about even treating ourselves.
And then over time, it gets to the point to where that's second nature.
Yeah.
To where it just automatically happens.
Absolutely.
It automatically happens.
Yeah. And it's less effort. Because if we've done something for so long, it's just a habit. It's like, oh, I just automatically tell myself that like, hey, you are lovable. And it's not as much of a spite as it was before. And that's of course the goal. Like it is going to be a struggle, especially if that's not a norm for us. And so getting through that tough part of trying to learn something new and then to try to make it into like a pattern and trying to make it into just who we are as a person.
Exactly. Surrounding ourselves by positive people, by the things that we enjoy, doing the things that we enjoy, writing, journaling.
Yes.
And also, I always talk about the power of therapy.
Yeah.
The power of having somebody who isn't part of your family, part of your circle, to have these conversations with, who can give you a different aspect, a different viewpoint. And sometimes the dark things that we're going through aren't as dark as we think they are. They seem very dark to us because we're not thinking about the light.
Yeah.
But when you go and talk to somebody else, they can point out the light to you, and you come out of that conversation feeling better.
Yeah. And it's kind of like that cognitive distortion where we kind of like fixate on maybe one thing, and it's like, everything's so bad, and it's just awful. And so we kind of like distort, like there's still like so much great going on. And yeah, going to therapy is a wonderful resource. I recognize everybody don't maybe have access to that, but if you do, like it's so great to have somebody unbiased to talk to that doesn't know your story. You have the opportunity to tell your story to fresh ears and to have like kind of that new experience, but also have somebody that can help challenge you and help point out when like, okay, this negative thought pattern starting up, or do you even recognize that like you went from talking this and it just went completely negative? Because it can happen so easily. We just start talking and then all of a sudden I'm in a spiral, like, and everything sucks.
And you don't even realize that you're doing it.
No.
You don't even realize it.
Especially because it's probably like a habit after, and so having that person there that can help reflect that to you, like, hey, you probably didn't notice this is happening, but this is what I saw, and this is how I heard that. And then just being able to process because once you have that insight, now you know, like, okay, this is something I can work on. This is an area I can grow. Because without that insight, why would we change? Like
that's so true.
Like
and you're not even aware of what you're doing. So it actually brings your attention to it. So then you can do something about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I do see a shift happening. It seems like there's a lot more openness to mental health, a lot more openness to going to therapy, to doing these things, to just having conversations about having conversations about therapy, having conversations about mental health. There's a lot more openness with it. And I think that just helps break the stigma that this is a normal thing. We all are capable of having mental health issues simply because we have a brain.
Exactly.
And so
and we're living this life.
And life isn't easy.
It's not.
And so just like, the more those conversations are happening, the more normalized it feels and less ostracized people feel when like, oh man, I'm so anxious to go into that room full of people, or I had a hard time getting out of bed today. Like, oh, I had that problem too. Like it's becoming like more, it builds that community and is just more like acceptable to be honest and to be human.
Even with some of the things that I'll see on social media, I'm seeing more and more shorts and reels where people are talking about their mental health and their mental wellness and things of that nature. So I think it has gotten to the point to where, even though there's still some level of stigma, it doesn't seem to be as frowned upon as like, kept in the shadows, a reason to be embarrassed or anything like that. It's actually a beautiful and wonderful thing.
For sure.
When somebody does go and seek help. And because
absolutely,
we all could benefit, all could benefit from that.
Yeah. Definitely a beautiful thing too. And it's very difficult to seek help. It's a very vulnerable place to be in, to say that I can't do this by myself. In all honesty, we're not supposed to do life by ourselves. It's way too difficult for anybody to try to go through by themselves. And so being honest with yourself and saying like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in life is seek help. Find that support. Humor is often like a coping skill that people use, but it can sometimes be like a masking type of coping skill. Like instead of that vulnerability of allowing allowing yourself to feel that emotion or to acknowledge that stressor there. Sometimes people laugh it off, and that helps us to get through the moment. It's great to do. Like, I mean, laugh. Like, it is so important. But also to have that moment of honesty with yourself and just to be like, this is hard. This is a lot to process. In therapy, like, there's definitely times where in therapy, in inpatient, like, there's definitely times where there's a lot of resistance towards it. And some people just aren't maybe in that position where they're ready to see that, like, the world isn't 100% doom and gloom, that there is good, there is possibility for positivity. And so sometimes that pushback happens. And I mean, as a therapist, you kind of just got to go at their pace, and we can't force positivity on anybody. We can't force anybody to see that, like, oh, this isn't the end of the world. But we can, be with them and help them to process and to get to that place of, like, it could be maybe not the end of the world, but it's still not a great world, but just working with them with where they're at. And there are some people that it's a quicker recovery to go from, like, that negativity to that, to, like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I do have these strengths going for me, or, whatever that case may be.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So if somebody is wanting to get in touch with you, how can they contact you?
A Jamelia Moment at AJameliaMoment, and that's for Instagram.
That's for
and
Instagram.
Then for email, Jamelia, Jamelia Knox, Knox @gmail.com.
We thank you. We thank you so very much for being with us. Thank you, guys. As we conclude another insightful episode of One Rhyme at a Time, I want to thank our featured poet, Kate Landers, our guest mental health professional, Jamelia Knox, our studio audience, and of course you, our listeners, for joining us in this conversation. And we would like to hear from you. Would you consider yourself an optimist or a pessimist? When challenging situations arise, which hat do you wear? And how do you navigate in challenging times? Where do you find your peace? Tell us in an original poem that you have written in response to the conversation that we've had here today. Submit your poem to RNCPoetry@gmail.com for the opportunity to have it read on an upcoming podcast. The sun shines, not because it has to, but because it can. Let yourself shine, even when the clouds come. Until next time, this is the Poetic Diva. May your days be filled with inspiration, healing, and poetry, one rhyme at a time. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, share, and leave comments for us on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback helps us as we continue to bring you meaningful content, one rhyme at a time.